Hello, Cowboys Nation, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Richview Roundup, your exclusive podcast for all things Richview Middle School athletics. I am Colton Richards, your host of this program. On this week's episode, we will recap the volleyball matches against Northeast at home and Kirkwood, the first home football game against Rossview, Clarksville High's football game against Springfield in Tennessee on the road, the Cowboys cross-country meets, the Lady Cats softball preseason, preview what's on the Cowboy calendar, including the girls' soccer season, and give my keys to victory for the football team for their next game at Kirkwood. We begin our weekly recap with the volleyball matches versus Northeast at home Monday night. The varsity won in two sets to win the match, 25-13 and 25-11. The JV won the first set 25-19 and then won the second set 25-12. Tuesday night was the home opener for the Richview Cowboys football team. They won by a final score of 47-0. The JV won 20-0. How did the varsity team rack up 47 points on their side of the scoreboard, you ask me? They did it like this. Offensively, quarterback Brody Wilkins went 4 out of 5 on pass attempts for 47 yards and a touchdown pass. Isaiah Ligon went for 6 carries and 124 yards and had a 4-touchdown night. Cliff Pember had 3 receptions for 35 yards and a touchdown. DeMarcus Martin broke off for a 21-yard touchdown run. And what I thought was the highlight of the night, Tavante Cruel ran a kickoff 71 yards for a touchdown. Ligon, in addition to his 4 touchdowns, had a 4 extra point tries successfully converted. Then Joshua Hernandez added on a 5th successful PAT. On the defensive side of the ball, Bo Parcells, Wyatt Wade, and Ligon had 4 tackles each. Jackson Foster and Wilkins had 3 tackles apiece. William Hester had 2 tackles. Parcells, Ligon, Wilkins, Hester, Martin, Wade, Balin Harlow, and Reese Daniel accounted for a combined 14 tackles for loss, while Hernandez added an interception and Harlow, Martin, and Daniel each had a fumble recovery. Speaking of fumbles and interceptions, I discussed with Coach Richards if we were to use a celebratory prop for turnovers. We started to ponder a turnover saddle, but that wouldn't work. So we went with a blue Stetson as the celebratory prop of choice. You can look at all the photos of the players that wore the turnover Stetson on the Richview Football Band app. Wednesday night, the volleyball teams traveled to Kirkwood to play their next series of matches. JV won 22-25 in the first set, lost the second 25-21, and won the tiebreaker 14-15. The varsity, however, lost in 3 sets, winning the first set 24-25, losing 25-22 in the second, and dropping the tiebreaker 15-12. We have an update from last week's episode. The cross-country teams went to the Green Hill Invitational because the Saturday Light Fever event was overbooked. For the boys, Cameron Kryzak finished with a top time for Richview of 13 minutes 48 seconds, while for the girls, Lily Quintero finished with a time of 15 minutes 10 seconds. This is where we get to Tennessee on the road. On Friday night, the Clarksville High Wildcats football team traveled to Springfield High School for the 102nd all-time playing of the Battle of the Bridge series. The final score was 7-19. The only score of the night for CHS was a touchdown run by Carter Pledger, with Owen Richards tacking on the extra point. The defense played well, but the Yellow Jackets were just too much in the end. Before we preview the girls' soccer season, let's take a look at all the events on the Cowboys' calendar this week. This week, the Lady Cats softball season begins September 2nd against Montgomery Central at 6 p.m. On September 3rd, the volleyball team has a match at Kenwood Middle School at 4:30. The football team has its post-Labor Day game at Kirkwood at 5:30 in the Red River Rivalry. The girls' soccer jamboree is also on September 3rd. The Lady Cats' second softball game is on September 4th at 6 p.m. against Rossview. On September 5th, the Clarksville Wildcats will play the Rossview Hawks at Rossview High School for the 18th annual Warfield Shield game at 7 p.m. On September 6th, the cross-country team will travel to McCracken High School for the McCracken County Invitational. And finally, on September 7th, the Titans will play the Broncos at 3:05 on Fox for their season opener. Let's preview the girls' soccer season. The coach of the girls' soccer team is Mike Williamson. The girls lost in the championship game last season 1-0. Rossview and Kirkwood are the biggest challenges, says Coach Williamson. He considers them early favorites, with Rossview, of course, being a traditional rival. The girls' soccer team graduated 9 players, many of whom are presently playing at Clarksville High School. Another one, unfortunately, moved, leaving them with only 6 returnees for the team. However, the good news is that 2 of the 6 remaining returning players include the 2 girls who shared time in goal last season, Charlotte Guzik and Zaylee Hill. They also include 3-year starters Liz Dole and Allison Hamrick, as well as Vivian Terabon. Coach Williamson says that, quote, "We have been blessed with an incoming class of talented, serious, year-round 6th grade soccer players of whom Shakespeare would have said, 'Though they be small, they be mighty,'" end quote. Some of those well-rounded players include Eva Gibson, Lily Hobson, Talia Todd, Maddie Kimsey, and Bethany Wright. Coach Williamson said of his expectations, quote, "We expect to win. A lot. We always expect to win," end quote. The Jamboree is on September 3rd at Heritage Soccer Park. All matches on Field 12, with the last match at Field 7. Richview Blue plays at 6 p.m. and again at 7 p.m. Then Richview White plays at 6:30 and again at 7:45. So good luck to the soccer team this season. Now it is time for my keys to victory. This week, my keys to victory go to the football team for the Red River Rivalry against Kirkwood. Key number 1, strike early, strike often. Defenses that have an early attack plan more than double the offense's chances to put points on the board. Key number 2, have the ability to think on your feet. Quick thinking can lead to positive yardage, and if you make the right judgment as the quarterback. And key number 3, study your opponents in game and find the one-on-one matchups that work in your favor. We look forward to an exciting game on Wednesday, as both teams are 2-0 and are averaging over 30 points per game. And before we close this week's show, 2 points of importance. First of all, this weekend marks my 12-year anniversary of moving to Clarksville. And secondly, I want to congratulate ESPN legend Coach Lee Corso on a nearly 40-year career on College Game Day. Happy retirement, Coach Corso. Saturdays in the fall won't be the same without you. And that is this week's episode of the Richview Roundup. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to see more episodes, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you can be notified about new content. This has been a presentation of the Richview Roundup, a CJR Entertainment production. This show was hosted, written, and produced by Colton Richards. Stay classy, Cowboys Nation.